inches. So he went to the window and threw open the drape, and the two of them came within about 3 inches of each other.
Please support this channel by subscribing and leaving comments.
Может быть, это он и есть.
10-4.
They said it was at least 8.5 feet tall.
It wasn't more than 20 feet away when it ran by.
We probably locked eyes for maybe 3 seconds, and that was enough for me to just be completely scared out of my mind.
You can put bait out too?
We have similar reports in Russia.
I must have watched it for about, a minute and a half.
A large something.
I couldn't explain what it was.
And that's when I saw the face peek out from behind the tree at me.
Since the late 1950s, local and national newspapers have recounted eyewitness reports of 6 to 8 foot tall, hairy, man-like creatures roaming the mountains of Humboldt County in Northern California. But ancient Native Americans have been recounting sightings for centuries. Sightings of creatures they call the Creek Devil.
They ran into this people that they call the Creek Devil.
Cryptozoologist by profession and driven by her own mysterious encounter, Autumn Williams travels the world.
Thousands of people can't have seen something that doesn't exist. All we need is proof.
Sometimes at dawn, or the edge of dusk, there's a fleeting glimpse of an impossible sight.
Do you have it?
Get it. I see it.
Michael!
What's the range?
The sightings are real. The technology, cutting edge. Are you ready for mysterious encounters?
The word Bigfoot was coined in 1958 when Jerry Crew found huge man-like footprints around his bulldozer. The story hit the national newswire, and California's modern Bigfoot was born. Crew's discovery was just the beginning of the modern-day Bigfoot lore.
2 of them were there, and chest beating, teeth popping like that.
A mystery that is engraved in the mind of Steve Borglund and countless other eyewitnesses.
About 1 o'clock in the morning, walking home with my buddy and his girlfriend, and we're sitting there talking and whatnot, and here goes this thing running by. My buddy looks at me and says, did you see that? And I said, yeah, and I took off and I ran up and I jumped up on the road. I looked way down the road, and I could see down the road a long ways in the next corner, and I couldn't see the thing. It was pretty good size. I mean, I was sitting down low, looking up at the road by about 5 feet, so. But the thing that got me was how fast it ran by. The cars go by about that fast, and it's 25 miles an hour. I mean, nobody's gonna run that fast. I don't think it was the guy in the suit.
The Encounters team and I are on our way to Humboldt County, California in an attempt to discover the truth behind the legendary Creek Devil.
Autumn Williams is a cryptozoologist and field researcher, a specialist in the search for as yet undiscovered animal species.
It's not a Pacific Northwest phenomenon, and it's not a U.S. phenomenon. It's worldwide.
There are thousands of square miles of remote wilderness here, with more reported sightings and footprints of unknown bipedal primates than anywhere in the world.
The Encounters team is comprised of cryptozoologists Autumn Williams, Matt Moneymaker, with famed Russian Bigfoot researcher and author Dmitry Banyov, local guide Larita Lektonen, tech specialist Vladimir Ustamachuk, and a host of the team's regular researchers and support team, Jay Cole, photojournalist, along with local researchers John Friedis, James Fay, nicknamed Bobo, and biologist Mario Benassi, along with wildlife researcher Doug Hychek. They have all come to this location in search of the truth to the question.
Loretta, do you think you can track us down a boat?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
We could probably get a couple small boats.
Good, all right. If you want to work on...
Is this creature just a legend? Not according to scores of eyewitnesses.
And I was just sitting down for a sandwich break, and over about 200 yards, I just glanced between two trees, and I saw some shaggy cinnamon colored, and just moved, because it was really high, about 9 feet in the air.
And he heard noises, so he went to the window and threw open the drape, and the two of them came with it about 3 inches of each other.
These amazing stories, when Mysterious Encounters returns.
Bam, to the bed. And then I saw it, and it turned and it walked back up.
The Klamath River begins in the southern Oregon Cascades and spills into the Pacific Ocean some 50 miles north of Eureka, California. Strange stories of upright walking hairy beasts, commonly called Bigfoots, have been reported since the 50s. But local Native American tribes have been recounting stories of these creatures for centuries.
Because the elders have the stories from before the whole Bigfoot craze with Jerry Crew in '58 and the Patterson film in '67.
Well, because it's not, to them, it's not legend, it's knowledge.
It's part of their natural fauna of the area.
In 2002, while hunting, Luis Hernandez encountered something he never dreamed of.
It was about in the middle of the daytime, like around this time, and I was just sitting down for a sandwich break. And over about 200 yards, I just glanced between two trees, and I saw some shaggy cinnamon colored, and just move. And I've seen bear and deer all my life, you know, because I've hunted them, and I thought it was a bear, but not walking, because it was really high, about 9 feet in the air. I couldn't explain what it was. Put it back in slow motion in your mind, and you see it wasn't a bear.
But while some encounters are at a relatively safe distance, others are too close for comfort.
This is like every kid's worst nightmare. I was a child in a summer camp, and I was sleeping in a bunk bed alongside the front wall of a cabin with my feet towards the door on my back. And in the middle of the night, I was jarred awake and saw this big thing standing there. I was just astonished. There was moonlight coming through. I could see its silhouette. I couldn't make out features very well. And as I looked, I couldn't imagine what I was seeing. It looked like, first of all, a bear because of the bulk. It was very, very bulky, but there was no snout and there were no prominent ears. The kid on the top bunk was now on the floor. The bed was now offset probably 3 or 4 feet from the wall, and it turned and it walked out the door, and the door closed behind it. It could have stood there and watched us sleeping for however long it wanted to before it struck the bed.
My son was face to face within 3 inches of the creature. My 12-year-old son heard noises outside his window. Sort of snorty, slunky noises. He thought the pigs were out. So he went to the window and threw open the drape, and the two of them came with it about 3 inches of each other. They looked at each other in the face, looking through a glass window. And one turned, the Bigfoot ran through the garden, and my son ran up the stairs to my bedroom and slept beside the bed. They both were scared.
Many eyewitnesses claim to have heard bone-chilling screams echoing through these remote canyons.
I've heard this before. It'll be good to get a good version of it.
Yeah.
Because this is really...
In 1993, an eerie, animal-like sound was recorded near the Klamath River. Bigfoot researcher James Fay, better known as Bobo, wants Autumn and Matt to hear and compare the screams to the many other recordings captured on tape from other parts of the country.
Less than 3 miles from where we're sitting right now.
I didn't realize that we were that close to the actual spot. Can you tell me a little bit about the circumstances surrounding this?
I guess he was just sitting in his home at night, hearing the thing screaming, and he went outside with his camcorder and didn't get any video. It was dark, but he got the audio.
except this is 500 miles or more away from Puyallup, Washington.
Large mammals with very low populations have to be able to communicate over long distances, and we're wondering if they might use this infrasound to do that. And I believe that this has never been tried before. No one has ever tried to record infrasound in connection with these creatures, so it should be interesting to see if we get anything on that recorder.
So that's why we're real interested in seeing what we can get tonight.
I guarantee there's squatches within 20 miles of here tonight.
But there are other sounds. Sounds not widely heard or recorded. Incoherent mumbling, growling, and chattering gibberish.
In 1972, Al Berry, a journalist out of Redding, California, was invited to a hunting camp deep within the Sierra Mountains of Northern California to investigate the primate-like vocalizations. The men who frequented the camp described ongoing interactions with strange, human-like creatures.
Two of them across the creek at the big rocks.
Ron Moorhead was one of the hunters in camp who witnessed the sounds firsthand.
Vocalizations from this primate was made in the 70s. We recorded them at our hunting camp, a very remote area in the Sierras of California. Unfortunately, a lot of hunters and people who have these reports don't carry a tape recorder around with them. We've had a lot of people say they hear the sounds that we have, and that's good, but it doesn't give us any corroborating evidence somewhere else.
While recordings like the Sierra sounds are rare, these sounds are eerily similar to the sounds described to me by an eyewitness in Wisconsin.
I heard how they talk, you know, like that way, you know.
These recordings will be sent to an audio expert for evaluation, with results later in the show. But the Encounters team is here to document evidence of their own. The Encounters team has set up base camp at the mouth of the Klamath River.
Be careful on those rocks.
Thanks. How many camera traps do you have set up?
This is a great spot for the base camp because there's been sightings right over there on that hillside.
Well, that's convenient. And how long ago was that?
That was a few months ago. That was the last one I heard of that.
Right on.
Moscow's code is 095.
That'll make a good picture.
They will broadcast and imitate sound recordings, similar to those provided to the team as evidence. Digital recorders, capable of recording infrasound, will record any responses, both audible and inaudible to human ears.
If these sounds are authentic, then maybe we can lure a creature within range of the surveillance cameras.
The legend of the Creek Devil begins with the Yurok and Hoopa tribal elders.
Most of the natives in this area do have a story about this creature. Seems to be pretty profuse in this area. I mean, all of them spend a great deal of time in the woods.
The team must rely on local guides to make that introduction. Getting in touch with the right people upriver will take time, something the team does not have.
Studying Bigfoot, and we'd like to take a boat up the river.
Yeah.
We need Larita to hook us up with the right people, but I am not looking forward to this boat ride.
Hey, Sunny. How are you doing? How's fishing? Good. I brought these guys up here. This is Autumn and Matt.
Hi. Nice to meet you.
And they're researching Bigfoot stories that have been up and down the river. And I'm not sure if you've ever had anything picked out of your net, but we're just trying to find out if maybe we could set up a surveillance camera down here because we've heard sightings down here.
Yeah, we heard that sometimes these things come down and take fish out of the net, so whatever's might come down to sniff out the fish, it'd be good to get a picture of them.
We'll be back in a little while with the camera traps, okay?
The team's 24-hour infrared cameras are in place and ready for nightfall.
Slide it forward a little bit. Yeah, that'll make a good picture.
Sandy, is there anyone else down the river here that you might have knowledge about Bigfoot?
Yeah.
What was it, do you think, that you saw that day?
First thing that comes to my mind is, wow, I saw Bigfoot.
Yeah, I know a lady up the river. She could probably give you some information.
For centuries, local Native Americans in Northern California have reported seeing 6 to 8 foot tall hairy creatures.
Yeah, we heard that sometimes these things come down and take fish out of the nets.
They call creek devils. Modern-day eyewitnesses describe a similar creature,
I know what I saw.
commonly known as Bigfoot.
There's something out there.
It ran upright.
There is an ape in North America.
An international team of investigators has set a high-tech trap in an effort to discover if this creature is myth or reality.
Let's get away from this shallow stuff and we'll pull back up.
Our guide, Sonny Downs, has agreed to take us upriver to speak with Georgina Troll, a Yurok elder and language expert. The Yuroks have always regarded these creatures as fact, not fiction. It's my hope that Georgina will share some of the tribal knowledge of the Uma'a, the creek devil.
Do you know any of the old legends surrounding these creatures? The Umaha, you called it?
Years ago, there were some Indians that went back there, and they ran into this people that they call the creek devil. And it says they were big people, and they lived in caves. Eventually, they came back and told their stories that that's where they lived. But they said they never spoke, and they never looked at him in the face. That was it.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yes, thank you.
The area of the Klamath River is remote and the scene of many eyewitness sightings. Autumn will attempt to mimic the creature's vocalizations, hoping for a response.
There's an amazing amount of wildlife out here tonight, so the chances of seeing something else are pretty good.
Yeah. This is where, right up here on this ridge, is where I got a real good vocalization 2 years ago. That was a very, very long howl. Within 3 days, there was a sighting reported.
Don't move, don't move.
The call we heard was odd, but it didn't
Let's go
repeat.
downstream. There's more than one animal.
Are you sure?
No, it probably was a cat.
Yeah,
That's what it sounded like.
That's what was surprising.
You never know.
Sonny has to go at least 40 miles an hour
gotta get out
over
of
the
here.
shallows to avoid bottoming out.
Go ahead.
Not an easy job in the dark.
After a cold and high-speed boat ride in the dark, the team makes it back safely, and night ops begin. The team heads into the mountains near the location of a recent scream report and splits into 3 groups to do call blasting, covering a broad surveillance area from the coast to the dark inland forests.
Their numbers are much fewer than those of the bears. What's the problem?
The calls played by the blasting team are claimed to be the actual recordings of the creek devil.
Well, I guess we'll give one last shot before we call it a night.
This is the blasting team. Bobo's gonna try some more vocalization.
Good, 10-4.
Bobo also mimics calls that he has heard firsthand.
Not all animals communicate in frequencies humans can hear. Matt and Autumn have set up infrasound microphones. This microphone will record frequencies lower than humans can hear.
But this is what we start with right here. A very strange looking mic to record sounds you can't hear. Okay, so we can just hit record and leave
This
it
is the blasting
and
team.
back
We
later.
just wanted to check if you're ready.
Just a few minutes.
The woods are a lot like a bar. Shoot your mouth off long enough and loud enough, someone bigger and badder's gonna come by and shut you up. So that's what I'm hoping for. Hope I get punked by a squatch.
I've had a chance to look at these sounds from California, and I've come to the following conclusion.
Autumn and the Encounters team have spent the past week near the mouth of the Klamath River in Northern California in an attempt to collect evidence of the existence of a huge, hairy, man-like creature known as the Creek Devil. The team was also presented with existing audio evidence, the Sierra recordings, recorded by investigator Ron Moorhead in the early 70s, and a more recent recording in 1993. Each recording has been examined by bioacoustics expert Dr. Robert Benson from Texas A&M, a specialist in natural sounds.
These sounds from California are some of the most interesting sounds I've ever had a chance to look at here in the laboratory. They don't match up with any naturally occurring animal in the United States. They were said to be recorded in the 1970s. Then it would require an extensive knowledge of both bioacoustics and acoustic engineering to create sounds like this. They are nothing like I've heard before. They do have a formant structure that has to do with the vocal tract of the animal. It is very reminiscent of the formant structure that I see in large male humans. That does not mean that it came from a human, but it would be difficult to rule that out without some video or film coupled with the sounds. The sounds by themselves just cannot be conclusive in a case like this. I've concluded that they are not likely associated with an animal that we know of in North America, north of Mexico. They are similar to black howler monkey vocalizations in central Mexico. It's very difficult to make a positive identification with tapes of this quality. At this point, I think the identity of the sounds on this tape will just have to remain a mystery.
I do know this. The reports and legends from this area convince me that there must be more to this story. The Encounters team and the Bounder are off to our next location.
If you're enjoying all this rare and unique content, please show your support by subscribing and leaving comments.